guys, what is going on? Welcome to another episode of Music Girl Hideout, the show where we hang out with artists, musicians, and entertainers in Waylon Jennings' old basement studio. My name is Jury, and as always, I am gathered here with co-host Ryan Poole. Well, pass to introduce the guests.
Well, tonight, this evening, on a very special episode of Music Girl Hideout, we have Noah and Jesse. Or is it Jesse and Noah?
Well, it's Jesse
Fight
and Noah.
about it.
If you would find it on Spotify,
On all
It's
the
Jesse and Noah.
It's Jesse and Noah on all the socials. Yeah.
Right.
And Jesse and Noah are two brothers living here in Nashville, Tennessee, originally from Florida. And they have toured, can I say, the world, playing their music.
a lot
the
of
U.S.
it.
and Europe. I mean,
US and Europe.
That's the world.
I'm trying to get to.
Yeah, some of the other continents. Yeah.
More than one country, I think, is the world.
Oh, yeah.
True. Yeah, that counts.
Well, yeah, we've toured more than one country, but there's still a lot of countries I'd like to tour. I mean, obviously, I want to tour them all. But
Now, how long have you guys been brothers for?
how old are you? 44 years.
Almost. Yeah.
Almost. Yeah, he'll be 44 in November.
Okay, and how long have you guys been playing together?
44 years.
Wow. About the whole time, huh?
Yeah.
That's right from the get-go.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, we always kind of, messed around with instruments growing up. We grew up in a musical household, and our dad's a touring country artist, and so we just were never around anything else. So.
Oh, man. So you've been around the music scene your entire
Yeah,
life.
yeah.
Literally
Literally
just from the
entire
beginning,
life, yeah.
your entire life.
Now, did you ever try to do anything else?
No.
Didn't even...
Not qualified. Not yeah.
Not interested?
Don't even know what I would do. That's what I saw the Syd Barrett documentary last night, like I was saying, and they said, after Syd was done with Pink Floyd, he didn't know how to do anything else.
Yeah.
Like he just went home and his sister took care of him the rest of his life.
Yeah.
Because he was Syd Barrett. He couldn't do anything else except be Syd Barrett.
Yeah, he's going to go get an office job. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's not quite right?
Yeah.
Now, having your sister take care of you for the rest of your life doesn't sound half bad, does it, Jerry?
Your sister? No.
So I don't think we mentioned this, but he married my sister.
Right.
Oh,
Which you're taking care of me
okay.
too.
So y'all are brother-in-laws.
Brothers-in-law, yeah.
Brothers-in-laws,
Brothers-in-law hanging with
Brother-
brothers.
yeah.
You know?
Okay.
It's just
Right.
a brother show.
Yeah, it doesn't quite count, though. We're not blood,
Yeah, not
It's
yet.
different.
Well,
Not yet. Not yet?
Other than that oath. Remember when we cut our hands
God.
at the old tree house and shook? And
I know. Everyone's going to think we're Satanists now. All right. But,
we should have done media training.
Yeah. But so you guys were born in Florida originally, it sounds like?
Yeah, we grew up
Yeah, I
there.
grew up in Florida.
Grew up there?
Yeah, and grew up, just playing in bands around Tampa, and at the time there wasn't. I don't know. We just ran out of scene, so we moved up here, and for the first few years we were up here, it was more. The idea was that we thought we'd maybe get a mainstream country deal or something like that, but then we sort of I don't know, it sort of our more artistic inclinations sort of started kicking back in, and then we started moving away from that and just really doing what we want. So,
Yeah. And what would you describe what you want as?
I don't know. We just
Just do it.
we just
Whatever
do it,
comes out.
and we're always sort of chasing it and sort of figuring it out.
Okay. So you came, about what year did you guys come out here?
2002.
2002.
Yeah, the end of 2002.
Okay. So that's when you had burned out Florida.
Yeah, I mean, at the time, I think Florida now is even a little different. Or I've heard,
Yeah.
I hear people say that there's more of a scene down there now. But at the time, it didn't. It was weird because there was a lot of bands coming out of Florida during like that late '90s period and stuff. But it didn't seem to be like an organic scene or anything. It just seemed like, I don't know, like these dudes would get record deals out of Orlando or something, and
Weird.
it would be on the radio. But you didn't really hear about bands coming up or anything like that, as much. It's just they were just there.
Yeah.
Huh.
Does Tampa have any notable people that that have come from there?
Oh yeah, there's Yeah.
No.
I'm sure there is. Maybe.
Got to be somebody.
I mean, there's several. I mean, okay, if you go.
I mean, you had some of the bands back in the '60s, like the Outlaws.
Yeah, you had the Outlaws
during like the Southern rock era.
Southern rock scene. You know, all of Florida, there was a Southern rock scene in the '70s, and then our dad and his brother, his group, the Bellamy Brothers. You know, they moved to L.A. and kind of made it in that scene. But they kind of caught the tail end of like the country rock scene, you know.
Were they Laurel Canyon people?
They were kind of the very end of that world. They were their big breakthrough was in '76.
Yeah, they were more like Burbank people, but
yeah, I don't think they ever lived in the canyon, but they used to go there, and you know.
Now, did you guys live out in California for a while as well?
No. We grew up in Florida. By the time when we were born, our parents had moved back. And we kind of grew up in Florida on a cattle ranch.
Oh, on a cattle ranch.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even know they had cattle ranches in Florida.
Oh yeah.
I know nothing about Florida.
No, Florida. This is Florida. Everybody always says Florida cattle, but
right.
No, the cattle industry started. The U.S. cattle industry started in Florida, actually.
Really?
Because the Spanish brought them to Florida, and that's basically
like 500 years ago.
Yeah, so that's where
it's
and then it moved west
before the westward expansion. If
from
you think
there,
about
but
it.
yeah.
And but yeah, around the same time that the Spanish brought cattle to Mexico, they brought them to Florida.
Oh, wow. I just had no idea. I mean, I don't know. I don't know that much about Florida. I've only been there like once or twice.
Yeah,
well, most people don't realize it has a history.
Right. I guess
because
so.
most people haven't been there that long. But our dad's family actually goes back to about 1870 there.
Oh, that was like when Florida was literally just swamp, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
because they had to make all the land.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, it was literally swamp when we were growing up.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, a lot of it was a lot of
yeah.
places that got drained and got built on. Yeah, totally. We totally witnessed a lot of that.
Yeah.
And even where we're from is pretty rural, but I go home and bitch about the traffic now. It's like
out of control.
It's it's not out of control compared to here, but
sure.
It's definitely like not what it was.
Basically, one exit up from us is the suburbs now. You know, it's completely.
Okay. Where before that was like
we were about 30 minutes from Tampa, and now Tampa's sort of like crept like towards us to where we're
practically in it now.
Basically.
It's kind of like all the neighboring cities or towns around Nashville that were like now Nashville's almost caught up to them.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's like
so
pretty
grows
wild.
together. Yeah.
Man, Florida's the closest thing we have to like a man-made state. Like we had to change the whole like landscape of that place. But no, I asked about California because I was listening to you guys on the way over here, and your song "Santa Ana Winds" came on, and I was like, oh, they must be from California. I was like, they must be because no one knows what Santa Ana is like out here.
Oh, yeah.
Like that's not a thing. Like I grew up with that, you know.
Yeah, I wrote that with Becky Hobbs. She's a really well-known country songwriter. We wrote that together. I mean, a long. That was even maybe before we even moved here, huh? Because I think I was coming here for writing sessions.
Yeah, I mean, I think we recorded it after we moved here.
We recorded it after. Well, we recorded it in the old sound shop, which is now where the Electric Jane is.
Yeah.
So there was where the Electric Jane is over.
So it's
on
down
Division.
Here. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I've passed it. Haven't been in it yet.
Yeah. Well, it was the old sound shop.
And that's the studio.
It was not the same
wow.
building. They knocked down the building, unfortunately, and put the high rise there, like as they do.
Yeah, that is the Nashville story. Like, hey, you got a recording studio? It'd be a great high rise.
Yeah. So you haven't been here a little over 20 years now. Here in Nashville, you said about 2002, right?
Yeah.
So it's probably like 3 skyscrapers when you moved here,
right? Like there must have been the skyline must have been non-existent.
Yeah, it was pretty much the Batman building, and that was it. Huh? the L&C thing's been there forever. I mean, when I was a really young kid, I remember prior to the Batman building being there, even. But I mean, it was mid '80s. I would come up every summer. Oh, well, I guess we both would. I just maybe started coming up here.
You started coming a little before I did.
A couple of years before you did.
So I don't know if I quite remember the pre-Batman era.
Our grandmother would come up and work the booth for our dad's band during what's now called CMA Fest. Back then it was called Fanfare.
Oh, yeah.
Huh.
So, I started coming up with her like in the mid 80s. We'd come up every summer and because the artists back then, each artist would have a booth, and each artist would sell merch.
It's like a trade show almost.
Oh, wow.
Sign autographs, sit at the booth, sign autographs for the fans.
Oh,
and,
that's awesome.
yeah.
That's way better than what it is now.
Totally. Oh, it was so cool. It was so cool. Yeah. Anyway, so we'd come up and work the booth every year, and that was sort of my first entry into Nashville, was coming up for Fanfare every year. So.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I've only been here 6 years, almost 6 years, and even in that time, I'm like, oh, it's completely different than when I moved here 6 years ago. I can't even imagine 21 years.
Yeah.
Like, it literally just must be a completely different world.
It's a totally different town, yeah.
I don't know what the population was back then. I'm sure it was not a lot. Now we're like almost at a million now.
It just felt like a small. It just felt like a small town. It smelled like a small town too.
It smelled like a small town.
Oh man, yeah, it's super cool. But sorry, do you have something?
No,
I'll keep rolling forever.
I thought you were about to say,
Yeah.
it's about time that we play a song, show
Right,
the
so
people
people
what
don't-
you sound like.
Yes, exactly.
And I was trying to give you a little nod, like, yeah, this is great timing.
Gotcha,
And
yeah.
then you just ruined everything.
I'm sorry.
Our
Oh my
connection.
God.
We should have taken the blood oath, damn it. We'd have that psychic connection.
But what's the first song they're going to be hearing?
The first song they'll be hearing is called Chances. Kisses in the dark, how it always starts, knowing it's a foolish kind of game we're both trying to win. So before you go away, I'll try and have you stay. The odds aren't in my favor, but I never trusted favors much, my friend. I know I was wrong, and I'm asking you to forgive, or I'll regret it as long as I will live. I've been taking chances so long, I know how to deal, except for this time. It's much too real. Yours is the kind that's much too precious to lose. I want you to know I'm taking my next chance on you. Walking on the floor, trying to guess the score. But arithmetic and love don't mix, so I tell a tale and try and fix the end. I've been taking chances so long, I know how to deal, except for this time, it's much too real. Yours is the kind that's much too precious to lose. I want you to know I'm taking my next chance on you. I know I was wrong, and I'm asking you to forgive, or I'll regret it as long as I will live. I've been taking chances so long, I know how to deal, except for this time.
It's much too real. Yours is the kind that's much too precious to lose. I want you to know I'm taking my next chance on you.
And we're back.
All right, and that was Chances. No, so when you guys walked in here and we were doing sound check, I was like, oh, kind of an Everly Brothers thing. And I only said that really because you're brothers and there's a vocal and harmony.
Yeah.
But I kind of felt like that song, to me, sounds Everly Brothers-ish. Maybe I'm biased. I really like a lot of like 50s, 60s music. Yeah. And I like the Everly Brothers. Is that an inspiration of yours at all? Or have you ever gotten that comparison? Does that
totally,
piss you off that I said that?
Oh, no. No, it's like the blueprint for what,
because it's because what our dad and our uncle did is, very much from the Everly Brothers also. So it's kind of, they were kind of the 70s reboot of the Everly Brothers in some ways. So, so that was always, we've listened to that a lot growing up.
Okay, so I didn't put that together. So your dad's band was with his brother as well.
Right, the Bellamy Brothers.
The Bellamy
right,
Brothers.
Hence.
Right, yeah.
Okay,
That's
so
the
was it a duo?
It's a
It's a duo, yeah.
So the first time I met you, you came into the studio because we have a mutual friend, and you mentioned that your dad had been in the Bellamy Brothers, and I've never heard of it. I'm like, oh, maybe it sounds familiar, but like I didn't grow up. I mean, I was born in 1987,
right?
So
Yeah,
I
yeah,
missed
totally,
that.
totally, yeah.
But then I was like driving home, and I have a 70s road trip playlist that Spotify curates, and I used to whenever I have a classic car, and when I would work on the car, I would play 70s road trip playlist. And so I loved it so much that I saved it, and every so often I add a 70s song on. Anyway, I was listening to that on the way home, and then the Bellamy Brothers came up, and I was like, oh shit, I totally know this song.
Let Your Love Flow probably, right?
Yeah, it was Let Your Love Flow,
yeah.
but it's just, it was always in the backdrop, but I never stopped to ask what is that song called and who wrote it. It's just like it's kind of like a 70s classic.
Exactly, as well as during that time period, there were a lot of It was
songs a number one record. Like it was number one in a lot of different countries all over the world.
Oh wow!
And so that's one reason they still to this day they tour everywhere. They've toured. Yeah, I don't.
Wait, still now?
Oh yeah,
yeah. They still tour. Yeah,
they're still active. In
touring,
yeah.
They still do like 180 dates a year or something.
Oh
like
my
that.
gosh!
Wow.
Yeah.
Man,
that sounds exhausting.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're in their 70s doing this.
Yeah, they
that's so active.
Yeah. They just do it. I mean, it's not even. Yeah, it's just not even.
I mean, they've been doing it for so long. I assume, right?
Yeah, they've literally done it since the mid '70s. Yeah.
Man,
but they, after that record, and they sort of transitioned into a country career after that, and had a lot of hits in that world. But there are still people. There's some people that only know that one record because they're not, country people. They didn't know country music in the '80s, which they had another run of hits with. So but it was and Dad always says it was because the music scene just changed so much. It went to like. From where they came in at country rock to like disco and punk, basically. And they kind of weren't either of those things. So country music made more sense.
Well, so that like the LA country rock scene would be like, I mean, not rock so much, but like
the
Joni
Eagles.
Mitchell turning into the Eagles.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, I mean the Eagles was kind of the ultimate. They were obviously the most successful kind of.
Right.
Most successful band
Most successful.
ever.
Yeah. You could stop right there. Like, you nailed it.
So but there were tons of different writers around that scene and different artists.
Have you guys ever met any of the Eagles?
Haven't met any.
No, we were supposed. So we just missed Henley. Remember, we were.
Well, I've met Vince, but Vince counts, right?
Is Vince guilty?
He counts now. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
now he replaced Glenn Fry.
Well, we were gonna. So we just missed Henley because we were coming through.
We were coming through his hometown.
His hometown, and our friend Richard Bowden, who grew up with Henley and was in a band called Shiloh.
I've heard of that.
Yeah, so Shiloh was the band that moved from what's the town in Texas? Linden, Texas, to L.A. So Richard had moved with Don out to L.A. So they went back. So we stopped to have lunch with Richard because we know him. We've played his theater down there, and we met at a little Mexican restaurant. And he was like, "Yeah, Henley was going to come with me, but his daughter got in some poison ivy. He had to take her to the hospital." So that's why we missed meeting Don Henley.
Oh man,
Gotcha.
that's brutal.
So
Now,
that's as close as we got to meeting an Eagle.
You met Don Henley, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah. I just told the whole story like two episodes
Right.
ago.
I was like, that sounds
every
familiar.
episode.
Yeah, no, I won't.
I can
I won't. No, just because it's the same scene. I was curious. For curious people, you get two or three. Oh wait, no, we're like ahead of episode. I don't know. Several episodes ago, we had Nick from the All American Rejects, and we talked about Don Henley.
Yeah, I did remember that.
right,
I was just
right.
giving you an opening in case you wanted to talk about it. All right.
Okay, so I won't retell the story. I'll just say maybe you lucked out that you didn't meet him. So
Okay. All right, maybe so. Yeah. No, I've
probably had a more pleasant day.
heard things, but then I've heard
honestly-
I've heard that he's great also.
Have you? So
Yeah, a couple
bring me
people.
bring me that perspective, because I met him as a studio. I was a studio assistant over at East Iris, and so anyway.
Oh, okay,
So
yeah,
I only
East
met him
Iris,
as
yeah.
an underling. But maybe if you met him with his friend, it'd be better.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, or you're just having a bad day.
So it's just whatever. Yeah, sometimes it depends on the day you meet somebody and all that. But
Yeah, I'm a dick sometimes, most of the time. No, but I think I'm all right,
Yeah. So you guys are from a long lineage of brothers singing in bands, or maybe not that long, but like you're like it's a tradition.
I guess. It's
Yeah. Well,
tradition.
actually, yeah, and actually, our grandfather sang with his siblings as well. I mean,
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they all played. I mean, they never recorded or anything like that, but they all played the local square dances and things like that.
Family band kind of a
family band
thing?
kind of thing. Yeah.
Bluegrass?
and it goes back.
It wouldn't really be bluegrass because it's almost before bluegrass. It's
yeah,
really
it's more like
it's really
more
more
like in that Jimmy Rogers kind of old time country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before we had 700 genres to classify everything
Yeah,
as.
I mean,
Yeah.
it'd be more like 1930s. I mean, and before,
Man.
So what took you guys to Europe? Like,
We've done a couple of runs over there for different things. We've been over there with our dad and uncle, and done some runs like that. We've gone over there to do like country music festivals. There's
is there a lot of fans over there for that?
there are a lot of fans over there for that, and they don't get it a lot. So like when you go over there as a country act or whatever, they flock to every
Wow.
fan in that particular country flocks to that festival because it's the only time that they actually get it.
Yeah, wow.
But yeah,
Who's,
there's
like,
a lot of
the best, or like what's like I always hear about different things about different countries being like super receptive to certain kinds of music. Like, where have you found the best reception? Like, where is it just like
well, like Central Europe and Scandinavia, I think for country music. I mean, I mean, country music's big everywhere, but there's a lot of festivals in like Scandinavia, and then we've done a lot of like Germany and Switzerland, Austria, a little bit of UK as well.
Man, I wouldn't have guessed that like Nordic countries would be super into country music.
yeah, me either.
Oh no, it's
Totally, yeah, it totally.
wild.
and
Norway is one of the
Yeah.
the Norwegians are huge country fans.
I had no clue.
It's-
The Vikings like country, I guess. I
Yeah,
don't know.
totally. Yeah,
I've heard Australia's real big on country too. But
Australia's real big. Yeah,
Yeah, but
I
Australia
guess they
has
had
a
the
lot
one.
of. They have a lot of their own artists too.
they do. They have their own country. They even have their own like going back,
Yeah,
like Slim Dusty and stuff like that. Like they even have a history of country
yeah,
music.
and a lot of their what they call country there would be more like would be closer to like folk rock here if you heard it, but
Okay.
it's but there it's classified as
country, sure.
country. That's just something I've noticed. I don't know if that's not
Huh.
official opinion or anything, but
Yeah, it's,
Yeah.
it's interesting how like I don't know, over time and distance and everything, people perceive things very differently. Like in California, that's where we grew up, and back when I was young, if you asked people what kind of music they like, the number one thing you would hear was, I will listen to anything except country.
Yep.
And that was like, everybody agreed. It was no country. Everything else is fine.
At my school, it was no country and no rap.
Oh, okay, wow. Yeah.
It was like a rebellious rock kind of.
Yeah. But then like at some year, and I was that guy too when I was a kid, that's what I heard growing up. I was like, no, never listen to country. I live in Nashville now. I think, but, and then like at some year, I don't know when it was, like everybody flipped and country just like blew up again on the West Coast at least.
Yeah, no, I think that, and I think that was, see, I like country when it was uncool,
Yeah.
Like it's like comic books. It's almost better when it was uncool,
Now that everybody likes it, you're like,
yeah.
Oh, but it's wild just how different things are, and that's within the same country. And granted, we're a big country, but all of Europe could fit
country.
right in the middle of us, no problem. But it's I don't know. It's just wild how things change. I just like thinking about them, but yeah.
Yeah. Now the last time I met you, we had talked about how how you guys were doing an event, and I forget who all was playing, but it was like, remind me what it was called. It was like a legacy thing.
Oh, okay. So we were doing the
what do they call it? The Next Generation show.
Next Generations of Country show. Is that what it's called?
I think so.
that's
I
the
should
right
look
name.
it up because, we've done it a couple of years now, and there's a whole kind of crew of us, of like, sons and daughters and granddaughters and grandsons of country singers. And there's kind of the core group that's all grew up in Hendersonville, and they're a little older than us. They're all like, it's like Hawkins Jr. and
Melissa Lumen.
Yeah, Melissa Lumen, Bob Lumen's daughter. There's a whole kind of crew that started this a while back. It's like 10 years ago, right? They started it.
It's been going on for a while, at least 10 years. Yeah. And then it's us, and then it's like Mel Tillis Jr.
Yeah, we had John Carter Cash this year.
Cash.
And Pam Tillis also.
Pam Tillis, Way Jennings. Who else do we have? We had Lynn Anderson's daughter, Bunny Anderson, came and sang Rose Garden. And it happens during the CMA Fest.
Mm.
And so you just get these classic country fans that are there to hear
we
all
meet
of
a lot
songs.
of meet a lot of Europeans there too. A lot of Europeans.
Yeah, a lot of European fans come out to that. Yeah,
Really fly in for
Yeah.
it, huh?
yeah. Well, they're in for
the week.
CMA
that's
Fest anyway, and
amazing.
that's one of the things on the list of things to hit. And everybody out there is always like, "Oh, you couldn't pay me to go to that stadium. I want to be right." They all want to be like.
Up close.
Yeah, exactly, up close, and they want to hear it's mainly about those songs. I mean, it's like every song that gets
it's
played.
a really
There's
good,
nothing that is not going to be a completely
a good sort of excuse to get all these songs together that everybody loves.
and the band is like, you can tell they're geeking out on like playing the parts and stuff like that. You can tell they're guys that grew up listening to these records because they've got every lick right. And
Now, do you play? So when you guys play, do you play the Bellamy Brothers, and John Carter Cash plays
Exactly,
Johnny
yeah.
Cash
Yeah.
songs?
At that
Okay.
show.
Yeah, at that show,
Okay,
yeah.
interesting. Okay.
Yeah, people. Generally
So the
they
sons
cover,
and daughters
Yeah,
play.
they covered their. Yeah.
That's cool.
Interesting.
That's a really cool concept.
yeah, it's great. Yeah.
It sounds like a lot of fun.
So it's like a band, and then you guys come up
Right,
and do like a few songs.
Yeah, the same house band. Everybody come up and do about 3 songs. I think it's pretty much everybody 3
Oh,
songs.
that's cool. Okay.
And it's just a night of because I'm just a huge fan of country music in general anyway. So it's just like sitting back and just getting to hear all those songs. In one spot is it's a cool night.
So you said at Jennings, which perks my ears up because this house used to be owned by Waylon.
Right.
So which Jennings?
Way Jennings. So
Way Jennings
where
and
does
then
he
Jenny.
fall? He's Waylon's grandson.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And then Jenny. Jenny Eddie Jennings. Is that how
Jenny
she goes
Eddie
by?
Jennings. Yeah, she's Jesse Coulter's daughter. She's Waylon's
Okay. Is Jesse?
Waylon's stepdaughter.
Does anybody know if Jesse Coulter's still alive?
Yeah.
She is. Yeah.
She is. Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know Waylon passed away in 2002, which
Yeah, that's
In
I guess so. Yeah.
Tucson.
Right when you guys moved here. Weird coincidence. Huh?
Yeah, it was. I guess it was a little before. I remember.
Where were you on January 13th? Just kidding.
No, I remember because I remember.
But you met Waylon. I never did.
I did meet Waylon once. Yeah. When
At
I
this
was-
house, right? No.
I met Waylon on the set of Dad was doing Nashville Now,
Yeah.
an old TV show that Ralph Emery used to host here, and
Yeah.
that particular night, it was Waylon, and the guests were Waylon, the Bellamy Brothers, and Louise Gore, Louise Gore? No,
Leslie Gore.
Leslie Gore.
Leslie Gore.
Leslie Gore.
Isn't she?
From,
It's My Party.
It's My Party. Yeah, exactly. That was the lineup.
yeah, from
Which-
the old Tammy show. If you ever seen the old Tammy show?
No, I
movie?
know that song from Problem Child.
Okay.
Do you remember that movie?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that was, I think that was the first like double track vocal song, or at least one of the earliest.
Oh, it might be. I don't know. That'd be interesting to.
Was it who produced Q? Produced Michael Jackson, Quincy Jones.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think Wesley fact check this. I think maybe Quincy Jones produced Leslie Gore. And either way, whoever produced Leslie Gore, I heard an interview with them, and they said that they tried double tracking, and I think that was like the first one.
Really?
In either case. But yeah, I never noticed that. Obviously, as a kid, you listen to songs,
Yeah.
you don't notice
Yeah.
production tricks.
Yeah.
And then I went back and listened to it. I'm like, oh yeah, doubled vocal.
So before, like Skeeter Davis and Chet Atkins did it. Like,
Yeah, Skeeter Davis
Yeah.
did it here. Yeah,
I mean,
Chet Atkins
that's
double
pretty
checked.
early, but that might be out. That's.
But
probably
I think
a
they
little
were.
after.
I mean, they were getting it from like pop
From the pop,
records
yeah.
already at that. Yeah.
It's funny, you would have never, like, double track vocals now is so obvious. It's like, well, you have to, or it sounds stupid.
Yeah.
But like back then, you would have never. The first time, you would have never thought to do that. Like why? Like that is actually a really innovative thought.
Well,
if
it's
you
like
think about it.
I'm sure it was an accident the first time somebody did it. They just ran the other track while they were, I'm sure it was an accident, but
You're probably right.
it is kind of like the auto tune way of, sort of compensating for if a vocal's a little pitchy, put another one on top of it and nobody will notice.
Yeah, and now it's cool. Yeah. Are you guys into like production stuff at all? Do you do any of your own production or?
Yeah, for the most.
we do a
for the
lot
most
of
part, yeah.
we do a lot of stuff ourselves. We've always kind of come up doing a good part of it ourselves. I mean, a couple of the records we did, a few of our records we did almost all the production on, and then
Yeah. Yeah, we're just
we
tired of doing it.
Yeah,
at
it's
this
just a
point.
lot.
We're trying to like
It's
get
a lot
other
to-
people in to kind of help because we're doing kind of we're going into the House of David studio in a couple days, and
that's David
David
Briggs.
Briggs. Yeah, as in the Muscle Shoals keyboardist.
Now he passed away, right?
No, he's still alive.
He's still alive. Okay.
Why do you think everybody passed away, Ryan?
I mean, he's
Everybody
been
has in the last couple years.
Right, yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah, he's been around. It's
Yeah.
I have in the other room. I have a poster for an event that was hosted at RCA Studio A. That was David Briggs and I forget who else. The guy who worked with Elvis. I think he played bass for Elvis.
Oh
as
yeah,
a producer.
the
Emery Gordy or
Not Emery
Jerry
Jordan.
Chef?
No.
Uh,
You guys know a lot of Elvis bass players off the top of your head.
shoot, I mean, it's not
We'll
Bill
have to-
Black. We're going all the way back
Bill
to Bill
Black,
Black.
Yeah. Well, we can look afterwards.
Yeah.
But he was
Well,
another big Nashville producer. who
David Briggs
passed away.
played on some Elvis. Is the studio he built the studio to attract Elvis. Actually, he didn't. I mean, I don't.
Really?
It wasn't just like Elvis's specifications or anything, but all during like 76,
Yeah.
early 77, and Elvis died in August. Like
Oh, is it coming up Death Week?
it's like this week is Death Week.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, I think
Death Week.
Yeah,
That's
Death
Is that what
Week
people
is-
call it?
in Memphis.
In Memphis,
that's a
it's a-
Memphis thing. Yeah,
Memphis
Really?
is
Because they
it's a
do.
whole thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
Memphis is celebrates Death Week every
Whoa. What do
every
they
week.
do?
just all kind of like vigils and
Yeah, there's
and
several events.
and people playing and just everything surrounding Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So don't
Have you
try to
been-
go to Graceland this week. I'm
Yeah.
sure it is out of
Yeah.
control.
Yeah.
Have you been before to Death Week?
Never been to never been to Death Week.
Yeah,
but
we've been to Graceland.
Graceland, I'll tell you when to
times.
go is Super Bowl Sunday. Go to
Oh,
Graceland
nobody's
Super
there,
Bowl
huh?
Sunday.
It's
Yeah,
just you
You've
by
got it
yourself,
all
hanging
by
out at
yourself.
Elvis's house,
Yeah.
Yeah, we went once. I was like 2012 or something. When you first moved
Yeah.
here, and I was visiting out here. Yeah, I loved it. I thought it was super rad. Like,
Yeah.
you know, my grandma was a huge Elvis fan. She was a really big fan of him as an actor, which is
Right.
a hard thing to be a fan of.
Oh, I love his acting. I love the Elvis movies.
Watch
Yeah, I watched all of them growing up.
King
Oh,
Creole.
sure.
Watch King Creole. King
Uh,
Creole is yeah. That's a
I watched
That one stands.
I watched Blue
Yeah.
Hawaii again the other day.
Oh, I've
but-
seen that one a bunch.
Yeah, I'd
of
seen
times.
that one as a kid. I mean, I watched a lot of them as a young kid. Yeah, and then but the other Hawaiian one is so weird. What is it called? Love Hawaiian Style or? Because I think I
sounds
used
like
to.
a bill, yeah.
I think I would get them mixed up. Like as a kid, I'd probably seen them both, but probably just thought of them as the same movie. You know?
Yeah. It was always anything with Elvis in it, and then all the Gidget movies. If you remember
Oh,
them,
yeah.
that was like my childhood. It was just those on a repeat for like
Yeah,
10
Gidget
years.
Goes Hawaiian.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That was the one. That was her favorite one.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. There was a time I could probably recite that movie by heart. Like I saw it so many times. But yeah, no one's ever even heard of that now. No one knows.
Yeah.
Like no one knows what the Gidget movies are. Like it's so ridiculous.
Yeah, that's a.
The worst part about Graceland, the
Yeah.
thing about Graceland I wish were different is, first of all, I wish you could just go explore it. Like,
Yeah, it'd get destroyed though. People
just
would-
like I want to go in all those rooms
Just,
and
just kind of a free.
get off
tour.
the path.
totally.
Yeah, get off the like path and go look up. I want to go play with those TVs. He had the 3 TVs on the wall. I want to go play with the TVs, check it all out. I want to touch everything.
Yeah, and that's why they don't let you.
Exactly.
Because everyone will do that.
Well, yeah, they can't let it.
Yeah.
And what's
And-
the other thing? Are you freaked out by him being buried there? Like,
No,
Because-
although I forgot about that.
well, yeah, because we had some Canadians with us that Super Bowl Sunday, and they were like,
Yeah, we went through. They didn't know.
"He's
We didn't.
buried here."
We got to the end of it, and they were like, "Oh,
We all
they had
do
no
that
idea.
in
Yeah.
America.
He's right here.
Yeah, we bury. Yeah,
Oh man.
No, it's the fact that what was his wife's name?
Priscilla."
Priscilla. The fact that Priscilla won't let anybody go upstairs.
Yeah, you can't go upstairs.
You can't go upstairs. What's upstairs? Have you guys gone upstairs?
So I think one of those early times didn't.
No,
We
I've
didn't.
never been
We didn't go
No,
upstairs. One of those early tours. we
okay,
took.
so I think there were more room. There were
Like that
maybe
first time.
that first tour. Maybe there were more rooms open, and there. So there's more windows open. There's more natural light coming in than there used to be on the tour. They used to have the shades
Yeah.
kind of drawn in the
I'm
in the
sure
jungle room
there's
and stuff,
some,
so it was like darker
Interesting.
when you were in there.
I'm sure there are like some YouTube videos. Somebody have, they always do like what
Is
they
there
changed.
so? Is there a
But
Like there's the whole second half of the
yeah.
house no one gets to see. What's going on up there?
is there a reproduction of it though? That's actually not far from here. That has
here?
an upstairs. That
I
you
don't
go in?
know.
Has somebody made a reproduction?
I thought there was a
of Graceland?
reproduction like in Japan or somewhere like that,
They
right?
would.
I think there's
Somewhere.
one like
It's like
Yeah.
Graceland 2.
Wesley, see if you can find a YouTube video that shows
a
the top
reproduction.
floor of Graceland. I want to know.
'Cause somebody, and I don't know, it was one of those rabbit holes a while back. Somebody's up on YouTube. There was like an upload of the VHS from like the souvenir kind of VHS from the 80s
right.
of Graceland, with Priscilla hosting and they showing everything. And everything's got this
Well,
really.
I remember being told that somebody from Warner Brothers, when they had the release party for Paul Simon's Graceland at Graceland, and some of the Warner execs got to go like upstairs
Oh, okay.
in the bedroom, but I don't know. Yeah,
Man.
I hope it's like weird, like and,
I think
dark.
I think it's. I don't know if I've imagined it or if I've seen it. I think it's just all. Or
I
I
felt
or I've
like
read
they, like,
enough
took
about
us
it. It's like
up.
all purple. It's,
I mean,
it's all just purple.
Wouldn't it be
drapes.
weird if it's just a normal house
Yeah.
upstairs? Like-
I felt like they did something with, but this is, I think I have a lot of false memories. So, like we walked up the stairs, but you couldn't go any further than that. And then they showed, you could see the bed and all that. But, that might have been.
No, I don't ever remember that. No.
Those false memories coming to get
Yeah.
you, I guess.
I always preface things by, I remember a lot of things that didn't happen.
But I mean, I think it's just. I think it's kind of purple velvet. I think it's all purple, is what I've heard.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Oh, only a few pictures, no video.
Huh? Yeah, they probably
We
like,
need to
really
go make
locked
it. We
down.
challenge every listener to go
Well, you
to
know,
sneak
isn't
upstairs
it,
and show.
Yeah, don't get arrested.
Isn't Graceland just changed hands? Like, since his granddaughter just inherited it, right?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Has she?
Riley
Or
Keough. Yeah.
I thought that maybe they had sold it to a separate company, like even prior to all of that.
Oh, I don't know. I thought there was,
all that.
again, it's like internet clickbait. It could be just.
I don't know. But I saw, I did see a interview with Riley Keough talking about like staying upstairs, like, and having to like they would be staying when there was tours, there were tours and stuff going
Okay.
on down.
So
They'd
they're
have
just
to
like
like hide
crashing
out
there.
up there, and
So everybody, there's the conspiracy theory that Elvis isn't really dead.
Yeah.
What if he's just literally living
he's
upstairs
been living
in
up
his
there
own
the
house?
whole time.
Just a shut-in up there.
Yeah.
He's just
Leave
got
me
video
alone.
cameras watching all the tourists and all the people coming and leaving flowers and saying heartfelt things about him, and he's just like, "Oh, thank you."
Because what year did he supposedly die?
77.
77.
Supposedly.
So it'd be another 50 years past that now. I don't think he's still up there.
It's like he really died in 2010. Like,
Right. Man, but I gotta go back there. I only met that one time. And I went on my own. Now I'm married, and I got to take my wife out there. We never even been to Memphis since we moved here, which is wild. 'Cause
but
it's
you
not that
guys
far
did
away.
music too, in addition to Elvis and the hard shift.
Yeah, we could do a whole podcast on Elvis, probably. Really.
Well, I want to.
No, feel free. I don't mean to screw the flow. What-
Well, I thought like I think like a cool idea for a podcast, like a series, would be, I want to call it Esoteric Elvis, and I just want to go into like the more kind of like the stuff he was reading, like the kind of more like kind of new agey and kind of spiritualist stuff that he was into, because you'll see like when you go through, and they've moved some of the books around.
Yeah.
Like they had like Herman Hesse's Siddhartha used to be sitting on top of the piano, and now they've moved like all the books into like a glass case in that part that you go in at the end. And anyway, there's like a collection of books there, and I think maybe like a podcast with an episode on each.
What
on
you
each
just said
book.
a book that had a long name I've never heard of.
Siddhartha by
Yeah.
Herman Hesse, and
I feel like I've heard that word before. but I
What?
don't-
Yeah. What is
Siddhartha.
Siddhartha,
what is
Buddha.
Buddha, a name for the Buddha.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Siddhartha.
That's why I've
Yama.
heard it before.
yeah. And Khalil Gibran's The Prophet is in there, and there's a couple of others I'm forgetting right now, but anyway, it's all kind of weird spiritualist kind of new agey kind of subject matter. And I'd just like to
like Elvis.
like
is
to delve into like that
as
a
a,
little bit, like
a good Christian boy, Elvis, but then he's also into all this, a lot
Right.
of different.
well, yeah, like
spiritual
typical
things.
like kind of rock and roll. Yeah.
Well, yeah,
kinda,
yeah, but it was that stuff was more associated with like the counterculture. I mean, Elvis was the counterculture
Right, but Elvis
first,
was
Right,
a counterculture,
right.
but then he doesn't get exactly.
Yeah.
He doesn't kind of get to sort of be in the sort of more like hippie
yeah,
kind
Huh.
of realm, even though he was moving that way sort of on his own, like
Sure.
like while that was all happening, he just wasn't really like a part of it,
Yeah.
even though he kind of started it.
Yeah. So it sounds like you don't just like Elvis. Y'all are like into Elvis. Like you guys are huge fans. I mean, you know
Oh,
the
yeah.
books in his house. Like that's wild to me.
no, we like Elvis like a
Well, it's like the blueprint of everything
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
everything after it. It's not.
And then when you get into it, because I've met some people that are more like rockabilly people, and they're like they only listen to the early Elvis, or they but man, the rest of it's great. There's especially those '68 sessions.
Man.
All those
Did
So
you
did you
ever
watch the
hear-
movie? Oh.
Oh.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go with your recent.
Okay.
Elvis
No,
thing.
yeah, I was just gonna say, did you, as
The new
big
Elvis.
fans, did you watch the new movie?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
How was that
Yeah.
compared to like what? Like you have a knowledge base already, which most people don't going into that.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
ever watched it? Wrong.
Right.
That was very Donald Trump of me. Wrong.
No, I thought. I mean, because the movie's sort of heavily stylized in this way that it works. Even if something's not quite right, it's forgivable because it is it's presented in a stylistic way that's trying to get to a greater truth. I think.
What's
I thought, and it touched on like kind of all of the things. It's like with the two Elvis biographies that matter, I guess. I mean, the I think matter, and I think most people are the Peter Guralnick books. There's and it separates them into two parts. There's the one called Last Train to Memphis that goes up to the point that Elvis's mother died, and then the second one is called Careless Love, and it goes from his mother's death to his death, and that's kind of the that's kind of the separation of the that's kind of the turning point for the whole thing. And what those books did was sort of rescued Elvis from a lot of the a lot of the cliches and stuff like that were that had sort of set in by the time we were growing up, and like so that. Like the Peter Guralnick books kind of painted the picture for me, and I think that's what the movie. Anyway, the movie kind of got in a lot of those things.
Okay, so you're satisfied with it?
Yeah,
You didn't leave being just like son of a bitch. Like
No.
I don't know what they're talking about. I should have made this movie.
yeah. No, I don't think they were necessarily based on the Guralnick books, but those are the books that sort of like
I'm sure
they drew sources.
no, it had to be because
Sure.
those kind of really set the record straight on a lot of things and kind of rescued him from that sort of the sort of cartoony kind of image that that he'd sort of like sunk into anyway.
All right, go ahead. You can stay here.
Oh well, we're talking. Did we get because the studio where we're cutting?
Oh, the House of David studio.
They built it for Elvis.
Oh, is
Basically,
that how we got there?
That's how we started this. Yeah.
Wow, yeah.
That's how we started this.
and you were saying there was even supposed to be a secret.
Yeah, they were going to have
entrance
a secret entrance and everything.
for Elvis,
That's
so
awesome.
that he could
But-
get in without anybody.
You had to, right?
knowing. Yeah.
But he never got to use it. He passed it. This was like
Yeah.
they built it in like 76, 77. He passed away in 77.
Yeah, and that's also going back to our dad. There's a story. Our dad wrote a song that Elvis was going to record, and he passed away before he could
Oh,
record
wow.
Yeah.
Oh wow, that's crazy. So
That's a huge bummer.
it. Yeah, it is.
Right.
And we've always, every time they've been, because they go through and try to find recordings. Every time they do it, we're just hoping there was a vocal somewhere. I think there's a recording. There's like a band rehearsal, but no vocal on it.
Oh,
That exists.
man. So did anybody else end up doing that song?
Carl Perkins recorded a version of it. Yeah,
Okay, well, what was it called?
Misunderstood.
Misunderstood. Okay.
And then Dad and Howard.
Yeah, they recorded.
They recorded
they
it a couple
recorded
times.
it. Yeah, a couple times on their records, but Carl Perkins
Okay.
recorded it also.
I'll have to look it up.
It's
I can
not a
imagine
bad-
what it would sound like.
Carl Perkins generally isn't a bad cut,
Yeah,
Yeah.
but tough when
Yeah.
when you were like Elvis was gonna do it. You're like, fuck, gotta go talk to the Beatles. Like, who else?
Yeah, like who's that big? Yeah, it's not no one. Yeah, nowadays we
Yeah.
can talk to the Eagles, I guess.
Now,
or-
are you guys? Who are you recording with there? Are you working with David? Does he still work in music or?
No, I mean, he's got an office there, I believe, but he's not. No, he's. So we've got Pino Squillace is sort of our session leader, producer, and then we're bringing in our band, the two of us, our drummer Herschel Van Dyke, our bassist Jared Harris. We've got a guy named Steve Cervenzik, who's a guitarist. He's gonna lay down like a just sort of acoustic rhythm as we're going down.
Yeah.
And the keyboardist is the guy from Smash Mouth.
really? That's cool.
Is he the keyboardist in Smash
Keyboardist
Mouth?
in
Yeah.
Smash Mouth. Mike Can't remember.
Yeah,
It was like Costa or something like that.
Just like open with like, hey man, you're an all-star. Just get punched in the fucking
Yeah, he'll
mouth.
just
right
leave.
off the
He'll be like,
bat.
you know what, we're done here. This is not.
No, he probably. I'll bet he has like a. Do you know him? Or have you met him?
I
Before?
haven't. I've
Yeah.
met him before. He comes through. He's a buddy of Pino's. We were trying to get Peter Keys from Skinnerd to come in, but he's on tour with Skinnerd and ZZ Top at the moment, and so Mike was available, and so yeah, it's.
Yeah, I imagine. I mean, like most people who have had a song that was that big of a hit don't get that weird about it because they're just like, yeah, that song made me a lot of money.
Yeah,
Go
I'm
say
sure.
it.
That's fine.
Every time
Sure
you
he's
say
good.
it, I make 10 cents.
Yeah.
Say it again.
Yeah. Though I've heard, I don't have any firsthand evidence of this, but
Yeah.
I've heard that that's not the case with Rick Astley.
Oh, really?
Oh, really?
And Never Gonna
With-
Give You Up.
With the
But I
Rickroll
thought
guy?
he had like a sense of humor about the whole Rick rolling thing. Like,
What I heard was he didn't, but I have
No,
I've
really?
never met him. I don't know. Don't
either.
take my word for it. Ask him. But
we used to have a Rickroll button, and I'm sad that it's gone now because that would have been its perfect
moment. Yeah.
that
did you
was a
see
button
any
that
of
never lived.
his Smiths cover set
no.
at Glastonbury this year? He did a whole
Oh, really?
cover set of Smiths songs. Yeah,
That's super cool.
yeah, they're really good.
Oh man.
So what does your guys' process look like as far as songwriting, putting together your song, and then going to the studio? Like, do you guys split responsibilities on that? Do you both do it together? Like, how does that work in a brother band?
Yeah, we both write songs. It's very rare for us to sit down and write a song like together or anything like that. It's more kind of finishing each other's ideas or bringing in something that's 75% there and then sort of developing it from where it's at.
Yeah, maybe more concretely. How about Chance? Since we already heard Chances, how did that song come together?
Yeah, that was mainly mine, I think.
Yeah,
but
mainly yours.
I had and this sounds dumb. I hate to say it, but I dreamed the chorus. I had a dream that it was the chorus,
That's the Paul McCartney
And-
way.
and then wrote the rest of the song. So
Yeah, I
Yeah.
recently had a dream that my friend was being drowned and I had to stab some gangsters in the head with a fork.
Sure. Same thing.
So I wish I had your dreams.
Oh man.
I also had a dream recently that he doesn't listen to the show. Guys, I had a dream that Nathan had cancer. It was really sad. I think it was last night.
Like a friend of ours, Nathan.
Yeah,
like,
Nathan.
They don't
Nathan
know.
Sepulveda.
They don't know.
Yeah, you don't know him, but a close friend of mine. So I've been dreaming about my friends dying a lot. It's really sad.
Cool. You do seem weirdly focused on death today.
Yeah,
I don't know.
well, we just talked about Death
Well,
Week.
it's
the
Death
whole
Week,
thing.
yeah.
It is Death Week after all.
But the point is I wish I've always like wanted the Paul McCartney chorus in a dream. But so you got the chorus in a dream, and then did you just like, okay, that was dope. I need to write it from here.
well, yeah, it was, and we were in the middle of. I think we were kind of in the middle of recording that album. Like we didn't really plan on recording that. That's what I think. Or we were in the middle of tracking some of those other songs.
we had a demo on it before going in.
Oh, did we?
Right?
I don't know. I thought we had already started, and then, there was a couple ways I could have done it. I was thinking, there's a way to do it. Where there would be like a slow way to do it, but it was just like, needing more fast songs. So I went with like the faster way. And I was thinking about it the whole time. Like, I mean, you mentioned the Everly Brothers, but also in kind of this almost like Euro pop kind of way, like kind of ABBA or Beatles kind of.
oh, sure.
It's more like, I mean, not like, like retro kind of Europop, I guess. I don't know.
And so you kind of wrote the song, and then what do you, so is going into the House of David, like, is that a normal, like, that's how you usually do it?
This will
or
be
is
the first time we've done this.
Yeah, we haven't been in this room before. We've done, we recorded a lot in homes in various places we've lived, and then the last full record we did, some friends of ours had a studio here, just in a house kind of out in Antioch, that they just set up, and we recorded there. We tracked there, and then, but did a lot of overdubs and things in our home studio too.
Yeah. Do you guys usually do like a rhythm take as a band and build from there, or do like
Usually
one thing at a time?
Yeah, we usually we do like to track with our our drummer Herschel Van Dyke. He's been with us for a while, So we like to track with him, and then Jared's our bass player. He's been with us a little bit now, but we had a whole bunch of bass players. It's been
hard to keep them around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I like being able to track with a rhythm section, and except there were a couple of songs on that last record that were that didn't lend themselves to that. There was one that was kind of a bluegrass song that just didn't have a rhythm section, or didn't have a drum track, and then the other one was kind of was more electronic, where it started out with just kind of like an 808 program kick.
Well, that was I Won't Rain. That's the
oh
other
yeah,
one
yeah, which was
yeah.
The way we do it live is totally different than the way that it was recorded. But yeah, unless it's one of those kind of situations, we like to track with the band.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a different experience tracking with the band, like all at once kind of a thing.
Yeah, and we did several recordings early on here, Sound Shop we were talking about before, where we tracked with, a full Nashville, session guys with Eddie Bears.
Eddie Bears on drums, Michael Rhodes on bass.
And all those kind of people. So, and getting to experience that, because coming out of, we did a record in Florida with our rock band, kind of thing, the way that a lot of indie rock bands would do a record,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And coming out of that kind of world, then going into the Nashville, kind of old school now, because I don't know, I listen to some of these records now, I'm like, I don't know, don't know if they're recording them this way anymore.
Yeah.
Really, because they got, there's so much of it's programmed.
Right.
And there's nothing wrong with that, but I just wonder how it's what a session like that looks like now, because I haven't been in one in a while.
Yeah, it's people are doing it all kinds of ways. I've been personally moving backwards with how I do things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am too, but I think that is part of doing it a while. You do kind of move back to wanting just to capture the pure performance kind of thing.
Yeah, especially even as you work with better people or get better yourself, you don't need to rely on the technology as much. And I think when I started, also you just don't know what good is yet for production. It's when I started, I was like, how do you make it sound good? How do you make it sound like the radio? And so I would do everything you could do, maybe it needs EQ and compression and chorus, and do I need a flanger, and you gotta have some reverb and a delay and a short delay and a medium delay and a long delay
and then double
5 reverbs and doubled and tripled. But it still doesn't sound like record. Maybe it's because it needs to be quantized and it needs to be this and that. And you just I feel like for me in the beginning I was chasing perfection because I thought that then it would finally sound like a real record. And I don't think that was a bad thing for me to do in the beginning, because I got like good at editing and figuring out how to make it kind of perfect. And then after a while, now I've like started peeling it back more and more and more and more and more to like now you know what good sounds like. Now you can just like do good.
Yeah.
And it helps like when you start too, you work with shitty people and like you're just like anybody who will just work with you.
Right.
And so over time, all of a sudden you start like, oh, this is good because they're good musicians. Yeah. And you had a good mic and you put it in roughly the right place. And in the beginning, you're like, where do we put a mic? Is it like you get? I got very OCD about like, so nobody, if you're listening, you're not going to get this, which was a good time to remind you. Our podcast is also a video, watchable on YouTube and Spotify. But anyway, so I'm going to move my mic around. In the beginning, you're like, guitar, do I record it here or here? What sounds better? Is it here or here? Or maybe it's here. Should it be here, here, here? And it's like, you know, you can get really fucking esoteric about it and think that matter. It does matter. I mean, you can hear the difference a little bit. Further away definitely is probably the biggest determining factor. But at the end of the day, if it's like a great guitar part and it's like a little more roomy or a little more intimate, it's probably fucking dope.
Yeah.
It's probably really good. And if they suck, it probably sucks. And moving the mic but engineers get so fucking up their own asses about like, no, you don't know, man, move it 1 inch and that just changes everything. And it's like, well, yeah, kind of, but just add a little bass back. So, I don't know. That was my rant of the day, I guess. Wait.
Well, I've heard,
You have a rant of the day button.
What the hell is even that? What the
That'll work.
hell is even that?
Oh, I like that's a good button for my rant of the day.
All right, fair enough, fair enough.
That was also my first rant of the day on the show. So,
Yeah, this is a new thing he's starting right now.
I've heard that like the Mark Knopfler, the Money for Nothing sound was supposedly the mic fell. It was not in the place where they placed it, and they liked the sound. But I don't know. That could be one of those stories that
Like it was on the guitar tone, or
Yeah.
on the guitar amp?
I could believe it. I mean, earlier when you guys were playing Chances, I noticed during the sound check, I noticed that it was actually the mic had fallen from where it was at first, and then I put it back. And I'm going to be real, I think it maybe didn't sound as good in the final recording as it did after it had fallen. But it was facing the floor, and I thought that was wrong.
right.
So
Yeah, I mean,
It
that
is one of
does
those-
seem wrong.
I learned an interesting trick last night when we were doing that overdub that we were talking about a violinist, a fiddle player, how they'll do a string part, and to make it sound like a full section of strings, they will get a different violin and stand at a different part of the room and record each
Yeah.
part standing at a different spot, so it sounds like if there
So
were
it's like,
Billy Contreras, apparently he does this
Oh.
where he'll so because if you think about it, if you had a whole section there, they'd all be standing at different places in the room,
yeah,
they'd all be playing
interesting.
different instruments.
Huh.
yeah. Have you ever done back? I've only ever done this once, but one time for a backing vocalist, it was like the artist. I had him also do. He was doing his own backing vocals, his own harmonies, but I had him like step back 3 feet from the mic for one of them, and when he did the high, go 6 feet away. And then and so anyway, same thing. Try
Right,
to
yeah.
recreate that effect of like people in a space. But yeah, it's fun. What I love about recording music is every way is fine. Every way works. You could have everybody really close and dry, and then by using reverb, you could make them sound. You can create that distance and space, or you can do it by moving the mic in the room. And it just depends on what kind of sound you want. Like a lot of times, a lot of the things I personally work on is I'm going for like a little more of like an older school sound, and so I'll try to use the old school techniques to achieve that sound, and that's fun for me.
Yeah.
But like every single way is valid, doesn't matter. But it all does change the outcome. There's just no right or wrong.
Yeah,
it's just like, what do you want?
It's a taste. I mean, when I was
Taste.
in college, I took this digital music class. Just like on a whim, I was like, let's just try it out. And at the end, you had to make this digital piece of music. It could be anything you wanted. There was like no parameters. And I was terrible at it. And I made the worst, just the weirdest, like digital on Fruity Loops is what I used software. And in the middle, it had like a speaking portion with General Patton's speech in it. Like it was just a nightmare. But I submitted it, and the teacher talked to me after, and he was like, you know what? It was just weird enough that like I was super into it. Right. And I was like, oh, cool. And like about a year ago, I found it like on my computer. And I was like, oh, I wonder if this is any good. And I listened to it. I was like, nope, this is awful.
You need to show me this.
I did show this to you. Well, I found it like a year ago. Yeah.
You did? I
Yeah.
forgot.
You don't even remember.
I guess it was really bad.
It was really bad. But it just goes to your point that like somebody liked it. It worked for them. For them, it was the right thing.
I think there's a few things that are, there's a lot that's subjective, but a few things that are like objective.
Yeah.
You really do. And I've, talked to some players, and it's like it can do anything. As long as it grooves, it can do anything, right? Like it can, as long as that groove is there, as long as it has that. And the other thing for me is like the bottom end has to be there. And, when you talk about, guitar sounds, there's so many guitar sounds. Guitar sounds are kind of I don't say they're easy, but they're kind of maybe the least important part. I don't know. There's people, we fetishize like great tone and stuff, and it does matter, but then the overall mix, the bottom is what really matters. And
Who have you guys ever run into? I'm forgetting his name right now, but we'll figure it out in 4 seconds.
Like it's gonna be hard to figure it out if you don't know the name.
No. Have you ever run into this bass player? he's like one of the most famous bass players there is, and him and his brothers all do music, and he puts little ties on his bass guitar.
I think we need more information, right?
More information. He wrote an awesome book about music.
Oh, Victor
Yes,
Wooten.
Victor
Oh,
Wooten.
yeah,
Oh, damn, didn't need that much more
Yeah.
information.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
Have you
He
guys
said
heard- he's
he
in
and his
town.
brother. Yeah, he and his brothers all play music.
yeah, we've done gigs with Wootens before. Yeah,
not Victor. I don't. We don't
no,
know
not Victor, but
with
with different.
yeah.
When you mentioned hearing guys like say that as long as the rhythm's there,
Yeah,
that's like I've heard that from Victor
Yeah.
Wooten. Not personally, but
yeah.
I did meet him very briefly at a not Vintage King, but there's another one like Vintage King that opened up in Berry Hill, and I went to their Westlake. I went to their grand opening, and Victor Wooten was just there playing bass.
Yeah.
And I just got to shake his hand and be like, "I loved your book." Have you guys ever read it,
Yeah.
by the way?
Oh no, I haven't.
Skimmed it, but I
Yes, I should read that.
skimmed it in a bookstore in
I
Colorado.
believe it's
But
called
it's-
The Music Lesson.
it is. Yeah.
Super worth it.
Yeah.
It's very much a story, and it's about this guy encountering. It's like first person narrative, and he encounters a teacher who teaches him about music, but everything he teaches him is very counterintuitive and very like mystical.
It's like the Karate Kid.
Yeah.
Kinda, yeah. It's very mystical, and he's just like, you know, Victor Wooten's whole vibe is like every note is the right note.
Yeah.
It's how you play.
Well,
it.
there's what is it? It's the one thing, and it was the notes you play. It's is almost the least important part of anything. Like the actual notes you play is actually the least important part of it.
Yeah, if you hit a wrong note, you just say it was jazz. It's fine.
Yeah, if the feel's there and the
well, I think
intention's there.
it comes from like that Ornette Coleman kind of, Ornette Coleman primetime kind of school of thinking about things, and it is like, yeah, it's like musically even like you can be as free as you want as long as there's a groove there.
Yeah.
Man. Well, it's about that time that we should play a second song.
Yeah. What do you guys
So,
got next?
Cool. This is called "I Just Want Rain."
Everyone wants to talk to the farmer, but won't listen to a word he has said. They just try and change his opinion. You want to print that? Go on ahead. I just want rain. I pray for rain, 'cause it just won't rain. Every time I'm asked what do I pray for, the answer is simple and true. There was a straightforward, honest, and great force, and when it stopped we were all screwed. I just want rain. I pray for rain, 'cause it just won't rain. Don't you wanna end suffering and hatred? Don't you want some democracy now? With someone's holy book or their color? It never mattered to me anyhow. I just want rain. I pray for rain, 'cause it just won't rain. More than twice I've been pulled from the flooded waters. They ask, how could you be such a fool? Don't you know that there's no greater honor to be taken by what made you? I just want rain. I pray for rain, 'cause it just won't rain.
And we're back. I did when we're back.
You guys just synced on that.
Yeah, I gave us one. So obviously, guys, you've been involved in music your whole lives. You've been around it, you've done it, you're recording it, you still are. But outside of that, do you have other things that you'd like to do, other hobbies that are not music related?
What the hell is even that?
No.
I ask this question a lot, and I get a lot of no's.
I like how, like, yeah, if you're like a country singer on a label, you got to be like, oh, I love hunting and fishing and stuff.
Right, hunting, fishing, drinking beer.
Like,
Yeah. So you're telling me you don't hunt, fish, and drink beer? I don't
oh yeah, I do all those things.
Oh man.
Yeah, just something. Yeah, art.
Yeah.
It's just
you
art.
just draw,
Art,
paint.
just art. Yeah.
No, we're really into film lately, like, you know, cinema, like that kind of stuff. Like,
Yeah, but I don't want to make a movie.
no, make it, but just
Sure.
watching like
that looks too hard.
you know, classic international cinema kind of stuff.
Oh.
Yeah,
International.
yeah.
Okay. Is there any particular countries that you've been watching
I've
lately?
been like on a French new
We've been on-
wave
yeah.
kind of kick. Yeah,
I don't know that.
but it's just it's like kind of what's been happening at the Belcourt. I mean, we just kind of
Yeah, just go down
we
to
live close to the Belcourt here, so
yeah, we're really close to the Belcourt.
so
yeah.
we can whatever they're playing is whatever I'm seeing. I'm not going to to the mall or to like one of the like a huge
Yeah, I still
multiplex
haven't
kinda.
seen Barbie or Oppenheimer yet.
Yeah.
No.
I
same,
haven't seen
haven't.
it.
You haven't seen Oppenheimer yet?
No, I haven't seen it yet.
Oppenheimer
Did you see it in
is at the Belcourt, so I could.
Oh,
could
is
go-
it?
It's
I
in
could
30,
see
yeah,
it
in
at the-
35, but you want to see it in IMAX, don't you?
He said it wasn't worth it in IMAX.
Yeah, okay.
What?
So that's good to know.
Wesley
He's
strongly
dying in
agrees.
his grave right now. Yeah.
Well, they have
Wesley
a-
says, "Don't listen to Ryan."
They have
I
like
knew-
a proper projectionist for the 35 millimeter.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
requires an actual
Yeah, you have to.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying.
That is cool. I did see. I've only been to the Belcourt once, which is ridiculous. I live less than a mile from it. Like I'm right there.
Yeah, you should go.
But I went and saw Once Upon a Time in Hollywood there when that came out because
Yeah.
they were
Oh,
showing
yeah.
it on whatever millimeter.
35 millimeter?
35.
I'm the wrong person to ask.
Yeah.
And so I thought that was super cool. And that was a great movie. I loved it. But that's the only time I've been.
I love the Belcourt. We used to see concerts there before the.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there were before the
the remodeling.
the remodeling.
Which is great because they have the screening room up top now.
Yeah, the remodeling's great, but there were you did occasionally get to see some concerts there.
Oh, right. Didn't something happen? Like oh, no. Maybe I'm thinking across the street.
No, it was just old.
Okay.
You're thinking of Jackson's across the street. It like.
Or no, I was thinking McDougal's. Right across the street, burned down
McDougal's.
like a year or two
Oh,
ago,
okay.
I think.
Oh, I didn't know that, but there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know which was which now. That when I walk by there, there's like a little dumpling place. The sushi place is still there,
It was next. I think it was next door
And
to the
then-
sushi place, McDougal's original.
and
I
the
think.
Belcourt Taps was there for years too. And that was a little songwriter
Yeah, we used to play.
hang, but
rounds
that's
there.
gone there now too.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Huh. Now, what got you into French New Wave?
Yeah, that's
Or what is it? What's the appeal? What even is it? I
Okay, well, it
blank
is.
slate here.
It's basically it is like indie film, the original kind of indie film movement, and you have Truffaut and Godard starting out in late 50s, early 60s. The first time that they had developed cameras that were small enough and kind of accessible enough for indie filmmakers to make these movies. So they started, and Godard was a film critic before he was a director. So he had this vast knowledge of cinema, everything that had come before, but people making film their own way. And so that's kind of the appeal to it. It is like making records your own way. It's like the idea of making film, but saying you don't have to follow the rules. You can copy certain aesthetics. You can draw inspiration from what you like, but you don't necessarily have to fall into any set of rules.
Yeah, I don't know that I've ever seen a French film.
Like Breathless. Breathless is kind of the one you want to start with, I think.
Yeah, I think that's probably
That's the way to.
the pinnacle of French New Wave, or the most the best example, I guess, that kind of gets everything in there.
Right? Is it like fairly like accessible to the uninitiated?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I think so, huh?
Yeah, I think Breathless is.
Okay, that might be worth a shot.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to give it a chance. I feel like usually I'm too lazy to read subtitles.
That is, that's one of the advantages of like going to the Belcourt, and because if you're at home, then you're dozing off,
Distracted.
and
Yeah. My
and you're
dog's
not-
trying to get my attention.
Yeah. So so that's one of the cool things about actually going to the theater to see these films.
It's got to seem like a good experience. Do they show a lot of things like that there? I mean, they know they show tons of old movies.
Yeah, tons of they have a lot of they've got a lot of classic art house things going. They've got a lot of midnight movie showings and stuff like that. Usually that stuff's more kind of leaning towards like horror and cult kind of stuff. So but I hit some of those too.
Yeah.
Those are fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's yes, I agree. It's easy to doze off on.
Right. When I was younger, I felt like that wasn't a problem. I used to watch all sorts of.
We watched
foreign films.
we watched a 4-hour.
We did. I didn't even know it's called The Mother and the Whore.
Yeah,
And I had no idea it was 4 hours. We were like,
we went to, yeah.
I feel like
It was
after that, I'm
great.
tired.
It
4
was
hours.
great, but it
long.
was it's like 3 hours 45 minutes. I think.
I just started getting paranoid about the parking because you can't park anywhere in Nashville
Yeah.
for over 3 hours anymore.
Right,
Yeah.
Unless you want to pay like $60
Yeah.
or something stupid.
That'd be a whole different experience because your brain's kind of trained that like certain things are a certain length. So you sort of, you watch a normal movie, you kind of, to some degree, where you are in the story just based on the length of time it's been.
Right. Like we're
Which
about to get to the
helps you to-
climax.
Yeah.
Kind of helps give you some scaffolding for like where this thing is going and where it is.
But I've
4
been
hours.
I've been watching a lot of movies that don't fit into that lately, just because I've been into like So have y'all ever seen the Robert Altman film Nashville? Like,
No.
you need to see that film.
Okay.
Because
Unless
you're in
I've heard of
Nashville.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Is
fair
it-
enough.
Is it from the 90s?
No, it's from the 70s.
No, never seen it.
And it still kind of stands alone as a work. And it's so funny because people in Nashville that were here do not like the movie because they thought it presented them in a bad light.
Really?
Because, I've seen critics say this was one of the best films ever made. And it's like, why is it when you drive into Nashville, you don't see a sign that says home of Robert Altman's Nashville? You see home of the Grand Ole Opry, you don't see Robert Altman's Nashville.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So, but because it doesn't fit into, a traditional 3-act structure, has a lot of characters in it. And it's, there's a lot of improvised and overlapping dialogue.
Yeah, there's kind of
these
no
characters.
main. There's
There's
no main
central
character.
story to this film, so it is odd. But it's odd that it was that a major studio paid to have this made, and it was because he made MASH that was a huge hit.
Mm.
And,
Oh, it's the same guy who made MASH.
yeah,
Oh, wow. Love MASH.
yeah. I mean the film MASH, not the series,
Okay,
the original film. But-
Gotcha.
So yeah, it's something I think everybody that lives in Nashville should see this movie because you do get to see Nashville how it looked in the mid '70s.
That would be interesting
Yeah.
at this point.
Yeah. I watched the
Yeah,
show.
yeah. There's a big car pile up like that starts the movie out. Like, well, the movie starts at the airport, which is gonna like blow your mind. And then there's like this car pile up that's like right, like Shelby Avenue, like basically like.
Just like nowadays.
Yeah, just like nowadays, except a lot less
There's
cars.
three cars. And like, what are 3 people doing on this road?
And then a lot of it centers around the old King of the Road Hotel, which is still the building's still standing. I can't remember what it is. It's like a Clarion Inn or some kind of chain hotel now. But it was owned by Roger Miller at the time, and there was a showroom in the bottom, and like guys like Ronnie Millsap and that era of guys all like kind of came up playing in the lobby in the showroom, so you get to see that, and yeah, it's yeah.
Okay. I'll definitely have to
Go
check
check
that
it out, yeah,
Yeah, I
for sure.
definitely will. That's something I'll like late at night watch, like looking for something like, oh yeah, and then I'll check that out.
And it's it's about 3 hours, right?
Oh, it's a long one, too,
close
yeah.
to 3 hours, I think.
Yeah.
If I remember right. But
Yeah, I don't mind a long movie if it's good. Well, like a long movie. Some movies you watch them they're an hour and a half, and you're like, that was not worth that length of time.
yeah. Some movies seem like they're way longer, but yeah, it's been like Robert Altman and John Cassavetes kind of films, and which just don't fit into the way movies are now.
Yeah.
And I think during the pandemic, I got burned out on like Marvel movies.
Yeah.
So-
I think the world got burned out of Marvel.
So it's like going back to these kind of like these 70s, like, this kind of crazy style of filmmaking that doesn't really
Right.
exist today.
Did COVID-19 kill the Marvel movie? Was that its
Oh,
biggest
I
victim
think
of
they're
all?
doing fine.
I think, yeah.
No, but like in everybody's hearts.
Right.
Because-
Like, I don't talk to anybody who's like stoked for the next
Yeah.
Ant-Man 12.
But
I'm like,
everybody was for like 10 years.
right.
Yeah.
I mean, really, it was Disney killed it by like making it not so special with TV
Yeah, that's the
shows.
thing. It's
Yeah.
just oversaturation killed it. Like just.
Right. Same thing.
I mean, it's
happening-
not dead yet. They're still making.
Yeah, I know. It's like,
But it's not the same.
It's like,
They might still make
it's like
money.
saying country
Yeah.
music's dead. It's there's plenty of people out there that like
we're,
it. and
We're
buy
old
it,
timers, so we like classic Marvel,
Yeah.
not this new pop
Yeah,
Marvel.
the first generation. Yeah.
Fucking talking about neon signs and
They're doing the same thing Disney now with Star Wars, and it's upsetting.
but- I know.
Because I'm a big fan of Star Wars, and
I can't even anymore. Like,
yeah, exactly. It's just
but I'd love to see people come up with new things.
no. That's time for that is over.
yeah.
Apparently, there hasn't been something new in like 10 years. Oh,
no new franchises.
Yeah. Well, that's why, that period is so appealing to me right now. It's like, and some people call that period the American New Wave. It's, which would
really?
be later than the French New Wave, but it was, it's basically like between Easy Rider,
Yes.
and
Between
Jaws.
Easy Rider and yeah,
like
and
Jaws or
or Star Wars, like
Between, when the Hays Code gets lifted, when they're allowed to do a lot of things, between that and when blockbusters just took over and is define what a movie is.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So was there a time when there wasn't blockbusters?
Yeah, I mean,
I've never thought about that. But
Yeah,
there
like
must have been.
Jaws and Star Wars.
I think Jaws
were
was the first
one.
film that
Wow.
somebody
Started it,
described
yeah.
as a blockbuster.
Really?
Yeah.
I never.
But
heard that.
obviously, yeah, there were films way
They were
back
popular, right?
that were
We're
huge. But
Everybody on the block seeing this. It's a
Yeah.
real blockbuster.
Oh man.
So I have like a question that I don't know how to ask in a good way, so I'm gonna ask it in a stupid way, and then feel free to like dive off of that. But like, so you guys had a dad and an uncle who had a #1 hit and have toured the world for 50 fucking years. And meanwhile,
yeah,
my dad used to install blinds when I was a kid. So I feel like we had different upbringings, as I could imagine. So not putting my dad down at all, but just I don't know what it's like to have a dad that was in music. I don't have any family in music. They were all like into like fishing and all sorts of shit. And so anyway, so music's kind of new with me. My kids are going to grow up with like, yep, my daddy always played music, but that's not how I came up. So I imagine you guys have experienced a bunch of crazy, cool, wild shit over the years. And like with that Laurel Canyon kind of, even if they were at the tail end of that, Burbank, that scene, like there was just like a very transformative time for the world. And even if they were at the quote unquote tail end of that scene, like they're part of like a major movement that happened in the world. And then like now there's people in fucking Norway that are like interested in the music y'all make. And so I'm curious, like, this is why this is not a good question, because like I don't know what they are, but I'm like, what stories do you guys have from that craziness? Like, what cool shit has happened to you? Like what? But it's a hard question to ask. It's a stupid question because for you, it's like how you grew up. It's your normal.
Well, I mean, part of it, we used to have people just kind of randomly show up at the ranch down there. You'd have people like, it's just like an RV would randomly show up people from Switzerland or wherever, that were going to Disney and they wanted to go see the Bellamy Ranch while they're
Wow.
There's a ranch.
Yeah, that's what we grew up in a cattle ranch
in Tampa, right? Or
gotcha.
now in Tampa, before outside of Tampa.
Yeah.
And they would just show up.
Yeah, they just show
we'd
up.
have a lot of fans just show up
because they were doing their vacation. They go to Disney and they like, the Bellamy Brothers live there. Let's go by, even though it's not really like open to the public or anything. They would just show up.
So I mean, we had this longhorn steer like in the front pasture for years, and that was like a big there were always tourists coming by and taking pictures of this this steer out there. But then we were just around a lot of people, like I was saying earlier at that Nashville Now thing with Waylon Jennings. We were around people like Merle Haggard and
yeah, I mean, we were somewhat insulated being in Florida. We weren't in the middle of it here in Nashville.
Yeah, we weren't.
Growing up.
And do you regret that, or do you like that? Do you like that you were separate
I don't know.
from
It's
it?
kind of, I don't know. It's kind of good in a way. It kind of be, it's, from like a networking standpoint, would have been better to grow up here. But, who can really think about that?
Right. Who could tell what? Yeah.
But is it also maybe like keep you more down to earth?
Yeah, I think it keeps you because you
can have a different keep a perspective on what goes on here.
Because it was funny growing up there and like because they had all these hits in the 80s and then in the 90s they started their own record label, and they were independent artists kind of throughout that whole period, but they were still able to chart records, on an indie. Yeah, looking back was pretty amazing that they were able to do.
Yeah, they were still able to get CMT play,
and they were still getting
all of that on. Yeah, as an independent, and we basically worked in the office. Growing up as well, so we were around a lot of.
Because they were still getting nominated. They were probably the most nominated CMA award duo that never won it.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Like through all it was like the Judds in the 80s, Brooks and Dunn in the 90s, through all like this huge chunk of time they were nominated but never won it. And it's like, looking back, it's pretty amazing because those artists still had basically armies of songwriters and produce, everything and they're just, doing it all themselves
wow.
but still, being in the same category.
That's impressive. Yeah.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah. As you guys like look back on, not only how you grew up, but how things have gone from there, like what things do you feel like grateful for as you look at, as you look back, what do you feel grateful for about like how things have played out? And it's kind of a weird way to phrase it, but just like even thinking about like, so you all growing up in Florida and not being here in the Nashville scene, growing up and being a part of it. Like,
yeah, I mean, I think growing up with our grandparents, I mean, when we were growing up, at one point there were 4 generations living on the property. So we were we were around our great grandmother and our grandparents, and our dad was off touring a lot of the time. So we were with our grandparents a lot. So, and that's really where we got exposed to like all the country music that we grew up on and kind of got into and so yeah, I think that's probably totally that's the thing I'm most grateful for sure.
Yeah, it sounds like family's really important to you.
Yeah, totally. And then being like he was saying, being a little bit removed from it and being a little staying an outsider from Nashville a little bit. I think that's mostly a good thing. Yeah.
So do you feel kind of like insider and outsider at the same time?
Yeah, totally. Although I mean, totally outsider now. Yeah. I mean, because I mean, whatever we grew up around is changed so drastically. The way the business is.
Yeah, we've never really wouldn't fit well into any particular scene. We've done a lot of things here, with different kind of Americana people. We've done stuff in Texas, a lot of Texas country kind of, but we've never really fit into any of those scenes ourselves. So we're just kind of our own thing.
Yeah, which is not a bad place to be when you're doing art.
Right.
Yeah, it's kind of
Yeah. It's a tough thing with art. I was just thinking about this probably yesterday. Just like there's every time a new, art trend comes around, there's early adopters.
Yeah.
And then there's a whole flow chart, but it's at a, what do you call that? Is it a parabola? It follows a
Venn diagram?
Yeah,
That's what you're looking
no.
Okay.
No, but there's
a
bell curve. Thank you. Yeah, there's this bell curve of like innovators, early adopters, the early majority, and then the late majority. And I've so far in my life and career like always kind of tried to, like, I want to be an innovator, but I don't think I am. I think I kind of am more like an early adopter of like new things. And so what sucks about it is like none of the things I've early adopted have ever like panned out for me where I'm like a billionaire. But like then like 7 years later when I'm like, that's old, I'm like, fucking everyone's doing it and getting rich.
Yeah.
And so like, just for like a random example, like kind of like an 80s music sound is like people are still doing that. And I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? This was 2013. This was 2012.
Yeah,
Right.
the 80s was in 2012.
Yeah.
1980 began in 2012.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how is everybody still in the 80s? And then Stranger Things, I was like, surely this is dying off. Then Stranger Things came out and everybody's like, it's back again and again. And, but so I say all that to illustrate that, I was thinking about this yesterday. Like, there is a lot of money to be made and popularity to be made in like what is popular right now. Granted, that's hard to break into too, and it's still a crapshoot.
Well, yeah, and it's hard to know. Yeah, I mean, like you said, it's hard to know what's coming next, but I mean, you at least you've got your finger on the pulse. At least you kind of
yeah. But if you try to do the early stuff. If you're trying to be like in the early crowd of like, this is the next thing. That doesn't
do you any good.
Yeah, it doesn't. Except
does you
for
no
like,
good to be ahead of your time.
Except for like a few people. Like when you're ahead of your time, quote unquote, like a few people are gonna like blow up and become like the innovators of that sound,
Right, and then make it the time for that thing.
Yeah, and then there's gonna be like 1,000 people who make a bunch of money like slightly ripping off that sound, and I'm like, I don't want to be one of those people who's like always slightly ripping off everybody else. You know, I think a lot of, if you're an artist, a lot of artists want to, you know, try to do something that's unique to them or just what they're feeling and not specifically like what's going to make the most money. But anyway, relating back to you guys, I think it's just I think it's a great place to be.
Yeah, me
It's
too.
just-
Oh, totally. It's the place I want to be. Yeah, it's the place where everybody and every piece of art that you really like is, you know. It's always on that, like,
Yeah.
you know, it's always like that reaching towards it. Well, that's what it is. It's reaching towards like something that isn't, that you don't quite know what it
Yeah.
is, or it isn't quite there yet or whatever. But yeah, that it's that reaching. That's what the art is. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And sometimes it's just frustrating to watch like other people
Yeah, totally.
not reach and just do what somebody else did, but make their own lyrics
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then like blow up. And you're like,
Yeah.
fuck. It's hard to watch people who suck be successful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Should be the name of
I
the
always
I
think
mean, you know, it's hard to watch, but it's very common.
It's funny here, like when somebody gets signed or they get, you know, somebody starts getting to be a big deal, and the other artists start coming to their shows, and it's not that they're necessarily supporting that artist. It's like they want to figure out what they did. It's like, wait a minute, what did they do?
Oh, yeah. I tell people that a
It's
lot
not
in
a-
Nashville. I'm like, no one gives a shit about you here
Yeah, that's the
unless
thing.
they think you're popular.
Yeah.
Right.
And then they're like, oh my God, they're the coolest thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that. I met them one time at a coffee shop. And then all of a sudden you're so
Yeah.
cool. Yeah.
Now we are coming up pretty close to our time here, but as promised, we do have one question that
As
we
we
ask.
foreshadowed.
Foreshadowed. You're right. That's better. That we ask every guest. Now, the hard part is there's two of you.
What was, did we get a preview of this question?
You do not.
We don't.
That is the sound of the first
All right,
blockbuster.
first blockbuster.
John.
Yeah, there we go. We got that one. So I need an answer from both of you at the same time.
At the same time, okay.
Okay.
Tough with two.
All right,
It
so we
is,
just
it is. We've done it with three before.
count it off and
Yeah,
It's
you'll
been
know.
done.
It's been done
It's
before.
just not easy. It requires a brother-like telekinesis.
But if you had to choose,
And you do.
and you do. Now, the important thing about this question is the answer must not come from here.
And for the only, the audio-only listeners, he is pointing to his head.
It must come from here.
And for I just relish that you turned to me instinctively, like, now he's going to say something. And for the audio-only listeners, he pointed to his heart.
Right. If you had to choose,
And you do.
and you do. Now, what that actually means, coming from your heart and not your head, is I need an answer immediately.
okay.
I'll ask the question and then immediate answer.
Well, we can count to four so we can say it.
Faster than that.
There's no
That's-
counting.
that's it. Okay,
Counting
that's what
to
you're saying.
four
All
would
right.
be the slowest this question was ever answered.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, there can be no count, only a mind meld.
So people don't normally have a problem with this question? I mean, they're people
Oh.
have an answer?
Yeah, sometimes.
Instant.
Okay.
Not most of the time, but not always. Not always.
Yeah, some people
Some
take
people
a long
struggle.
time, and we yell at them.
If you had to choose,
And you do.
and you do, what would you say is your favorite kind of turtle?
Soft shell.
Come on now.
I was going to say cooter, but
That's the same thing, right?
no, that's the opposite.
It's
Hard shells. This is like a Florida thing, kind of. I mean, there were turtles everywhere, but
I mean, those big alligator snapping turtles.
yeah,
I like those.
Yeah, you
Those
don't
are
want to
pretty
mess
cool.
with those.
I said soft shell because you can make soup out of them.
I think you can make soup out of any of them.
I think you can make
really.
soup out of any turtle. Yes.
I mean, you can do anything if you try hard enough.
Okay,
Everything's
what's a cooter?
That's some old Florida it's old Florida cracker talk, basically. That's a real thing. That's usually like a box turtle. They call it a cooter.
Okay,
And
classic.
old Floridians call it that.
Okay.
I thought a cooter was a vagina.
Yeah.
Well, it's slang.
Could be anything.
Could be anything, but yeah, actually,
It's a mechanic on Dukes of Hazzard.
also.
Oh, that's right. I think that's where I heard that from.
Well, I think those were great answers.
Yeah, we don't get soft shell very often either. We've gotten it a couple times. Obviously, this question is remarkably
And
random.
no one has
It
said
nothing to do
cooter
with anything.
before?
Never, not even one time.
Really?
You're the first.
Yeah, that's
Haven't
yeah,
had
that's
any Floridians
yeah, it's
on.
very.
No, we do get a lot of
that's-
box. We get box.
Yeah,
several
box turtle,
times. Or some
But
people
the-
say tortoise, and I'm like, that's not a turtle, man. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've never gotten
yeah,
cooter.
so
Oh, actually, gopher. We should have done gopher. I guess, which
the
is
gopher tortoise is a local Florida
yeah, that's a pretty esoteric Florida.
We used to race them.
You used to race
Yeah.
tortoises?
yeah,
How does that
it's
work?
it's illegal now.
It's illegal now. This is because it's a protected species at this point. But when we were kids in the '80s,
That's amazing.
they didn't care about any of that. So,
80s 1.0.
yeah,
Right. The original.
Yeah.
the original '80s.
What now? How do you race a turtle?
You get a long stick and you. This was at the Rattlesnake Festival.
Yeah, we have this long running festival called the Rattlesnake Festival.
Yeah, it was the Rattlesnake Roundup originally because it was when all the locals would kill snakes.
Yeah, they'd all round
Sure,
up
the classic Florida
yeah,
tradition.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Because
But so the gopher and the gopher tortoise and the rattlesnake though have this symbiotic relationship where the tortoise burrows the hole and then the rattlesnake moves in with
Really?
the
What?
tortoise.
That's
Do they like hang out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they live in the same burrow together.
Wow.
So part of the Rattlesnake Festival was
yeah.
one of the long-running events of the Rattlesnake Festivals was that they let the kids race gophers, and they would have these wooden lanes, and you'd go, and there was like just a big, it was just like a big gopher area. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just like a big gopher
There's
pen.
still,
You just go and pick out your
And,
gopher.
the other film y'all need to check out is Vernon, Florida.
Yeah, Vernon, Florida. Yeah, that's yeah.
They got gopher
They
racing
got they don't have gopher racing in it.
No.
But there's a gopher in it.
There's
There's
a
an old
gopher in
guy
it.
explaining the difference between a gopher and a turtle.
Yeah, and he's like, he's talking about how some people eat those, but it's kind of obvious that he is going to eat this animal.
We're in a weird time of history where, like, I both fully think that it's fine that you race turtles, and I also am like, yeah, I couldn't picture people doing that today. And I kind of get why people made it illegal.
Yeah,
But I
it's,
also-
it's an endangered. Yeah,
But I
they were-
also feel like that sucks. You should be able to race turtles.
They
I'm in between.
they replaced them at some point in our childhood. They replaced them with some wooden ones.
Yeah, we were a
that
little
you
too old for that, but
yeah,
they had
like our younger brothers.
They had late when they stopped it, they came up with this like these little
yeah, it was like a pulley
wooden
thing. I don't
gophers, and
know.
you would pull this gopher towards you or whatever, and that was the substitute for the actual gopher racing. But no, they would have these lanes set up. I think even like not so much when we were kids, but they would paint them all up like
probably
in
before.
previous
Probably with
generations
lead
they would
paint.
paint the shell, yeah, and all
Yeah,
that.
all the
70s
turtles
lead
cancer.
paint. You just
Yeah.
They would just dip it in radioactive active material.
Yeah,
Like
this
it
is-
glows.
yeah. The earlier Gen Xers got to do that. We were
Yeah, I'm sure Gen Z's like, I can't believe you would
Yeah, oh, I'm
race
sure. Yeah,
an animal.
Yeah.
They would. Yeah.
it's all on your phone now. You just
Now we're heading out here pretty soon. But before we do, where can people find you?
Just all over on all of the socials, and jesseandnoah.com, I guess is the website you can go to and kind of get to
Which is
everything
not an
from there.
ampersand, people.
yeah.
I made that mistake.
Okay, so Jesse and Noah on all the things, your Facebooks, your
Yep.
Instagrams.
Oh, and this is a good clue. I kept spelling Jesse Jessie.
Oh yeah,
No, it's an
JSSE.
Jesse and Noah. That explains everything.
So you're just bad at the internet. Got it.
Bad at,
bad at spelling.
but if you're searching for Jesse and Noah, don't put that I in.
It's the Jesse James spelling.
You got the song queued up?
Oh yeah, song is queued up.
All right,
This
just
is
making
the
sure, 'cause I'm about to do
vision
the outro.
from Jesse and Noah.
All right, guys. As always, thanks for coming to hang out with us. You guys are awesome, and we'll see y'all next time.
Running through the foothills, the wildest knew them all. It was just the kind of weather when a twist is bound to fall. And sure enough, it happened. A crack rang through the air as Lester Brown was chasing down his runaway prize man. She had joined the wildies, that free and fiery herd. But Lester thought he owned her, so he ran after her. On an Appaloosa stallion, he called Sonny Sam with a pistol on his hip and a lasso in his hand.
Tell me about the wild horses, the wind, the rain, and other forces. Tell me about your widowed mother, how she wasn't like the others. Speak it in the old language, though I may not understand it. I can feel your words and wisdom when you tell me how you dreamed the vision.
Think that everything would be scattered into pieces, but that was not the case. Not a single wild horse was harmed at all that day, but Lester Brown the cowboy, he was blown away. They tell me it's a legend, something no one's ever seen, but your grandma, the widow, witnessed everything. And just as sure I saw it in my dreams as I slept, that twister hit the foothills and brought an end to less.
Tell me about the wild horses, the wind, the rain, and other forces. Tell me about your widowed mother, how she wasn't like the others. Speak it in the old language, though I may not understand it. I can feel your words and wisdom when you tell me how you dream.
Lester's body was never found, but that Appaloosa, he's still out there running round, still wearing that old saddle with the shine all worn away. It's now a symbol of the freedom he gained that rainy day. The mare, she's still with him, running by his side, and they both get more graceful with the passing of the time. They bore many an offspring who will carry on. With a little bit of good luck, freedom's all they'll ever know.